On May 26, 2001, my next guests were awakened by police officers at their door with news that no parent ever wants to hear. Ray and Vi, welcome to 100 Huntley Street.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So, the morning of May 26, 2001, you get a knock on the door, and it's the police. What do they say?
They asked me, I was my two sons, Christopher and Philip's dad. I said yes. They said, we need to speak to you urgently. I said, what's it about? They wouldn't tell me till we got Vi out of bed. And they said, Chris has been involved in a fight. He's seriously injured. They need to get us to Epsom Hospital, which is a 9-mile journey from our house. And we didn't have a clue what was going on until we got to the hospital. And we found that my two sons were attacked by a gang of youths for no reason, an unprovoked attack. And Chris was being operated on. That's all we had to go on. I asked Philip what happened that in the hospital waiting room.
Philip is your other son.
My other son, yeah, my younger son. He said they were walking along the road, minding their own business, enjoying the summer's evening. And this gang of 14 boys and girls hit him first. Just out of the blue, he got a punch in the face so hard his nose ended up at his cheek. His first reaction was that, and the doctor said by doing that he clicked the bone back. The pain was so severe he collapsed on the floor. Two boys started stamping on his head. Christopher went to save his brother. There was a fight broke out again. They backed Christopher onto this main road. This is a 4-lane A road. Another one got behind him. They got him on the floor. They took penalty shots to his head and body, stamped on his head. When a woman shouted the police are coming, they all ran. A car came over the hill, and in call she said she thought it was a bundle of rags in the road. She ran over him. His belt caught her exhaust pipe. She dragged him 40 metres down the road. When Phil came through for being unconscious, the first thing he saw was Chris on the wheel of a car. A woman came running out and said, I'm a nurse, you can't touch him. And while we're hearing all this, the doctors came in. They said he's lost a lot of oxygen to the brain. We're looking at severe brain damage. And 20 to 4 in the morning, when you see the police, the doctors and the hospital chaplain, their eyes told us, Christopher died that morning. I remember smashing my head off the floor. You ran from me, didn't you?
Yeah. Vi, this is every mother's and father's, but every mother's worst nightmare. What's going through your mind at this moment?
Well, I ran for the door.
Yeah.
I didn't want it to be us. I wanted it to be anybody else but us. I couldn't take it in. I thought it was a dream. I ran out the door and I kept thinking I'll go home and it'll be fine. That's, it's surreal. And our lives are good, aren't they? And so I got down the corridor in the hospital, and I remember a policeman coming towards me, and he's holding his arms out like this, and he grabs me and he's hugging me and he's crying. And I was crying and sobbing and screaming at him. And he said, we're going to get them. Because he's angry now. And then I started, it came up out of my mouth, and I said, no, you're not, because you really don't care. Nobody cares. And I started to get really angry with this and shouting and screaming at him. And he's all the time, he's pulling me back to this room, and he said, in a minute, they'll come and get you. And you've got to identify him. Not we'd like you to, but you've got to. And everything in your heart and soul.
Didn't want to do it.
Well,
really doesn't
Ray,
want to do this.
You didn't want to go in.
No.
No.
I couldn't take it, and what we did, we both held each other's hand and took each other. We were stopping and going. And outside the room were two policemen and a doctor. I said, can we donate his organs? Christopher carried an organ donor card. He was a motorbike rider for a pizza company. And the policeman said, no. He said, I don't know how to tell you this. You can't touch Chris. You can't hold him. Christopher, I found that yesterday is the same. Christopher became what is known as the property of a coroner. But in Britain, we call him a crime scene. He's not a crime scene, he's my son. I remember we went in the room, Christopher's lying there, he's wrapped up like a mummy. There's still a bit of blood in his face. This side of his face was completely gone. They smashed his face in. I lost it. I lost my temper, to be honest. I said to the police, if I can't kiss him on the forehead, that's the last thing he did to me when he left home. I'll dick everyone. Sorry, this is the way I speak in London. I'll knock you out. They had a talk and they said, you can kiss him, but keep your hands behind your back. I couldn't touch my son. You couldn't touch him, could you?
No.
They told you that you couldn't bury your son for 16
Yeah.
They had to work
16 weeks.
16 weeks. They had to work out, was it the kicking or the car that killed him?
Right.
And they had to remove his brain. And there's a special scarring comes, and that takes 16 weeks, and we couldn't bury him. Do you know what I said to the coroner when she said that to me? I said, that's not my son in there. My son's in heaven. You do what you want, because he gave his life to Jesus at 15. That's the peace we had, wasn't it?
That was the only peace we had out of all of this.
Well, we are going to take a quick break, but when we return, Ray and Vi decide to do something so unconventional that everyone was questioning why. We'll take a quick break and return shortly. So it's one thing, Ray, to say, okay, I forgive them. I'm going to go my way. They're going to go theirs. But you want to meet the men that killed your son.
I wanted the answers. I wanted truth. Because I blame myself for Christopher's death. Sorry, I keep touching I blame myself because Chris asked me to give him a lift that night and I didn't. He asked Phil to get a minicab. Phil didn't. He says, walk. And I wanted the truth because in court all we got were lies. In court when he was found guilty, he shouted, I'm innocent, I didn't do nothing. That was what he shouted. In the room, after it was a 4-hour meeting, he said, I was a 15-year-old coward. I murdered your son. I'm sorry. That's all we wanted.
So when we looked at him and we said, we forgive you, young man, move on and have the life Chris can't have. I don't know who got healed more. The reaction of him, he took like an imaginary sack off his shoulder and put it on the floor and he just went, huh.
And the second boy, we met him 6 months later. He came out of prison. It was me who said I want to meet him out of prison in case people think they're only meeting us to get out early.
Right.
You don't get out early for doing this. And it's a big long room. And as I saw him turn the corner coming, I stopped went like that. And we broke every risk assessment going. He ran into the room. He didn't walk, he ran up to me, grabbed me so tight, I couldn't breathe. And he kept crying on my shoulder. He sobbed. And he kept saying, I'm sorry, I'm sorry, I'm sorry, I'm sorry. Every time we break, he grabbed me again. Didn't even know what to buy, squeezed every bit of life out of her, didn't he?
Please just sit down and I mean, it's so overwhelming that everyone in the room's crying, the facilitators, you know, and the probation officers, they're all crying because it shouldn't have happened.
He wanted to meet us years ago and people wouldn't let us. It took us nearly 11 years to meet him because people kept getting in our way, wouldn't let us do it.
All we ever wanted was the truth. And all they ever did was tell lies in the court to try and save their lives.
And the third young man, was a little more hesitant and came with his dad.
Yeah, in the room, the chairs are all in a big circle. The only people allowed to speak to me and Vi and the facilitators and the boy. And he went, can I ask a question? We went, yeah. Can we bring the chairs closer, please? He felt so comfortable in our presence, didn't he? We all moved the chairs
He didn't
closer.
feel ashamed anymore.
Yeah.
He felt that he got some healing out of this restorative practice. I mean, restorative practice changed our lives again. It won't bring Chris back.
In fact, in the meeting, I asked all three. I said, you don't know to us to apologise, you should apologise to Chris. And Stephen Jones went with a bottle, well, the guts just over here, to come to Christopher's grave. It was a horrible winter's day, it was pouring with rain. I showed him where Christopher's grave was, and the horrible thing is, when you walk to Christopher's grave, you've got 87, 96, 84, 75, everybody in that line's had a life. You get to his little grave, it's 18. He walked down with his probation officer with some garage flowers, that's all he could afford. We saw him get on his knees in the mud, and I looked up and said, God, you're asking too much of me today. We went for a walk, came back 20 minutes later, he's still on his knees in the mud. I said, get up, Steve. He got up. I looked, Christopher's here, we're here. Christopher had this attitude, I'm going to say it politely now because we're on Christian television. Yeah. Poo happens, get over it. That was his life. And I said, if my son was alive today, he would tell you to move on. That's the kind of kid he was. So we're giving you permission to move on today. More tears. And he went, can I come back? We knew he wanted to bring his wife and child back, yeah? Of course you can. Oh no, he said, what is someone here? I don't want to offend no one. See how he's thinking now? I said, Steve, no one knows you from Adam. If anybody asks who you are, say his friend. We can't change the past, we can all be into the future. He wrote a letter that we can make public, and in the first letter he put, my name's Stephen Andrews. I, along with other companies, was involved in the death of Christopher on the 26th of May 2001. He's making that public to the world. And way down in one of the paragraphs, he put, "When Ray and Vi forgave me, it made me feel like a human again."
Oh,
We thought of them as monsters,
Do
didn't
you
we?
remember what we said? Monsters. I had no idea this is what he was thinking of himself. You see? And then I saw the human being in the room. He's not a monster.
you've now dedicated 15 years of your lives to restorative justice. You've gone to countless prisons. You're visiting even a prison here in Canada
Yeah.
while you're here. This is something you passionately believe in. Sharing Chris's story.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And the redeeming part of Chris's story is that there is forgiveness.
absolutely. You do deserve
And our
it.
work has even been recognised by the Queen of England. Can I show you a medal?
Yes, please do.
We've got what's called an MBE, the Members of the British Empire.
Yes.
It's solid silver.
It's the
Show
first
this-
one in the world that's
Show
ever
this to
been
the
given.
camera here. Look at that. The first, say that again.
It's the
First one.
first one in the world that's ever been given to victims of crime for restorative justice.
Wow.
So it's a real one.
We've got it for services to restorative justice. So
The
our work
name-
has been recognised by the Queen of England.
I wish we could talk forever.
Yeah.
We are way past our time.
I'm sure.
The power of restorative justice, restored and forgiven. Can I just tell you how much you need to get this book? We all are on a journey to forgiveness. Maybe you didn't kill somebody, but maybe you're looking for forgiveness in some area of your life. Please do pick up this book as soon as you can. And if you just want somebody to pray with you, maybe you are again looking for that forgiveness from God. Could I just tell you it's already done?
Yeah.
Jesus died on the cross for you. And I know you might be looking at your past or maybe a mistake you just made this morning and you're thinking, God can't forgive me. He can, He will, if you ask Him. Call the phone number at the bottom of your screen, 1-866-273-4444, or email us prayer@crossroads.ca. Stay with us. We'll be right back. We are back with Ray and Vi Donovan, the authors of this great book, The Power of Restorative Justice, Restored and Forgiven. The story of the death of their son, Chris, and a path to something very unconventional. Ray, you decided to do something that I don't know if every parent could do. You decided before they even found the killers of your son to forgive them.
Yeah, that night coming back from the hospital. We only became Christians in '96. And so I knew how much God has forgiven me. Boy, did He have a lot of forgiving to do, yeah? And I just turned to Vi in a car. I said, as Christians, God's going to expect us to forgive. I just knew we had to do it. Because I'd done revenge in my old days and it doesn't work. It's not sweet. And I had to go this new way. And you couldn't get it, could you?
I didn't want to get it. I'm riding on the anger, and I don't want to. I don't want to do this. It's been disloyal to Chris, isn't it? It's not right. You can't say that, and God can't ask us to do this. I said, it's too much.
And forgiveness you talk about in the book is not saying that you agree with what these
No.
boys did,
No.
but it's saying that you see a future for them and you want to release them from that and release yourselves.
Yeah. I always say forgiveness is a selfish act. It's about us, really. It's letting us off.
Yeah.
And not that, yeah. But they need to live their lives. We just want them to know that, didn't we, love? We just, we didn't want that anger and bitterness. It don't get you nowhere. It's not honouring Chris. So we decided to move on and let them live their lives.
Also, your church community was a big part of this story.
Well, I've got to be very honest with you. When Christopher died, I kept saying, how am I going to bury him? I ain't got the money.
Yeah.
How am I going to bury him? Then one day our pastor came and he said, we had an emergency meeting with the meetings. We want to bury Chris. I went, what? He said, we want to bury him. We'll pay any expenses. I said, it's £4,500 back then it was. He went, we'll pay it. If it's £20,000, we pay it. We were astonished. A lot of people in this country, all around the world, think all churches want to do is take your money. Yes, but they use it for people like us.
Yeah.
They bless us. And he said something that was very honest to us. He said to us, when the flowers and the cars stop, that's when I come. And he kept his word, didn't he?
Absolutely.
It was like a mother. You know what the Bible said, he got us under his wings? That's how our pastor was with us. He kept us under his wings.
So I guess we were riding on the love of all of those people.
And when did that light bulb go on for you, Vi, that forgiveness was
Well,
going to be that choice you were going
That's
to make.
it took me about a year
Yeah.
to get my head around even thinking about it. And I went on this journey, and I remember there was a guy in our church, he's an evangelist, and I know him well, Jonathan, and he comes up to me after church and he's grinning at me. And when he grins at you, you know you're in trouble. And he's grinning like a Cheshire cat. And he says to me, Vi, Jesus loves the boys who killed your son. Oh, how dare you say that to me? And he said, no, but you see, when you get it, he came for the whole world. He loves everyone. When they come to him, and they will, he will forgive them. What are you going to do? And I went home and said, who does he think he is? But you see, the Bible says the truth will set you free. It wouldn't go away. It's like a song in my head now. Yeah. And I had to think about that. I can't sit on the fence. I can either choose God's way or I can choose man's way. And I could see that it was a better way to go with God. I could see that. And then in the courtroom, Ray said to me, Vi, everybody loses. Look at their parents. Everyone
We've all
loses.
lost.
And then I started to get a bit of compassion coming back in, and I started to really, and I'm going to do this, but I didn't know how.
Yeah.
God, you've got to tell me how. And then I realised it's a choice. That's how. It's not about how you feel, because if it's about how you feel, me and Ray, well, we go to his grave and we get angry, and that's the truth.
Christmas is coming.
Yeah.
He's not there.
Yeah. Birthdays, all of those things are going to happen. But we've got this wonderful God that says you've got a choice. You can choose it above everything you feel. And then I got it. I got the clue to it. Wow. So I can choose it, and I can choose it every minute of every day. Not a one-off, because that's never going to work.
That's what I was going to ask you. This is a conscious choice that you have to make
Every day.
every single day.
And when I read a great book, when Christopher got killed, I read a great book, I hope you don't mind me saying it, is Total Forgiveness. And on that he says, when you can name them, Jack, Stephen, Ryan, without getting angry, that's total forgiveness. Yeah. And we could do that, can't we?
And then we started to pray for them as they were in prison.